Hello, old chap. It's Chris, the horticultural adventurer, and Gary, the gorilla, has gone wild. There's over 100 specials online and in store right now, but you'll have to be quicker than a giraffe at the watering hole to grab them because they're only on till Friday, 12 o'clock. Let me introduce my most trusted expedition assistant, Gary, the gorilla. Daring Dutch box and English box for $5.50. We've captured the extraordinary ornamental pear, including capitals, for $14.99. An abundance of bare-rooted 3-foot standard roses, icebergs, and a plethora of colours. And a bare-rooted bounty of apples, pears, nectarines, apricots, and peaches. Spend over $300 on these extraordinary bargains and get a free weeping cherry valued at over $100 and free delivery over most of Victoria. Splendid work, old chap. Adventure awaits. You have until this Friday, 12 p.m, to take advantage of these amazing deals. Here we have a great combo, a beautiful dark green tight low oriental pearl hedge. And this is going to be covered in white blossom in a couple of weeks. And here behind it, we've got a ficus hedge, neatly trimmed. And your ficus is luscious, it's green, it's very, very dense and beautiful. But I love the contrast. Look at the contrasting different foliage. It's sort of a light green ripply foliage coming down to this dense dark green foliage. And when you trim it up, you get a lovely finish on it. A great combo for that layered look. The light green and the dark green, the low and the tall, beautiful. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. Hi, this is Lynn and Harry. And they've got a 5-acre property in Seymour and they came down to Campbellfield to get bare rooted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what you've got now, you've got sunburst honey locusts and they're about 8 foot tall. Yep. And you paid $19.90 each for them. What do you reckon about a deal like that?
I reckon I stole them.
Yeah, it's a bit like shoplifting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You've got yourself standard roses and they've cost you $14.99. Good bargain?
Yes, definitely.
How long have you been getting bare rooted down at Hello Hello for?
Oh,
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yep, right. Ever since we've been planting the garden out in the property, we've helloed often. If you've got to create a garden, you couldn't do better than come here.
Thank you very much for that. Thanks for coming down. Thanks a lot.
Terrific.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. Do you want a plant that gives you a gorgeous year-round colour that's hardy and easy to grow? Well, here it is, Coprosma Pacific Sunrise. Now, this is a beautiful, colourful plant, and you know the colder it gets in the winter, the more intense the colour. But you get year-round colour. Now, you can grow this as a hedge, grow it as a pot plant, grow it as a specimen, trim it into a ball, or just have it lovely and natural like this. It's a really hardy, easy to grow plant. Grow it almost anywhere. Coprosma Pacific Sunrise. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. Now's the time to stock up on standard roses. We've got 3-foot standard roses, all different colours, thousands of them in stock, all $29.99. So whether you need 4 of one colour or half a dozen different ones, all $29.99. And then you've got standard icebergs at $16.99. So look at this beautiful standard iceberg, $16.99. And 3-foot standard icebergs, just $29.99. So now's the time to stock up on standard roses because there's thousands to choose from, all bare rooted, easy to transport, easy to plant, and very, very cheap at $29.99. The classic Melbourne garden is standard roses and English box, and we've got thousands of beautiful English box 6-inch pot for $4.99. To keep us busy in the cold weather, spend over $300 and get a $100 weeping cherry for free. Wow.
I just want to say it is phenomenal.
Amazing.
Awesome surprise.
That's what we do. When people spend over $300, everybody gets a free weeping cherry. It's a $100 weeping cherry. What do you reckon?
It is the most unexpected surprise.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, I like it.
It's been absolutely fantastic.
Today we're going to be running through all of your the questions that have been submitted, topics that you want to know about in terms of gardening and plants, and just tap Chris's brain, tap into the wisdom.
Yes, well, and what it is, it's it's now spring. Yesterday I think was the first day of spring, and you can see it around Melbourne. You can see things bursting into leaf. I walked under a most beautiful Manchurian pear this morning. There was just a giant cloud of fabulous white blossom when I was out walking the dog. It was awesome.
Gorgeous. And I had a similar experience on Gertrude Street the other day where I was walking under those beautiful Solangiana magnolias.
Right, yeah.
Everyone comes down to take photos of all the leaves, all the petals while they're out.
Yeah, so it's spring in Melbourne, and the gardens are starting. You're seeing buds and you're seeing flowers, and if you've been putting off a garden project, now's the time to get into it, and now's the time to get the answers. So what you can do is what do? You text us your question.
Yes.
So send in your questions.
So we've got chats on all of the platforms where we're live streaming.
Yeah.
And so you can leave a comment or a question in the chat, and we'll pick that up. We'll pick those up. So we've got Katie, Emily, Rickard, who is on Instagram, and Chris has asked, best thing to keep caterpillars away, they are eating my lily pilly topiaries alive.
Okay. Now, what I've noticed about caterpillars is one caterpillar can do an awful lot of damage, one or two caterpillars. And this was before the days of big inflation, but when my kids were little, it was 5 cents a caterpillar, because I figured rather than spraying the whole field or spraying the whole area, if there was only 100 caterpillars in there, it only cost me $5 to clean them up. So I used to say these days you might have to say 20 cents or even 50 cents a caterpillar to be on par with where you were back then. But it was 5 cents, and the kids would bring in a little bucket or a thing of caterpillars and collect their money off me, and I would be able to clear my field without spraying them. But one of the most amazing things is there's a chemical called diapal. Mm-hmm. Now diapal isn't a poison. Diapal is actually it's germ warfare that you can wage on caterpillars, and what it is, it's a stomach bug, and you mix it up in water. I used to spray it with a tractor. So if I had a sprinkling of caterpillars in my nursery, I'd give the kids 5 cents each to pick them for me. But if I had a bad caterpillar problem that was terrible, there's caterpillars everywhere, you couldn't possibly send me broke to pick them all up at 5 cents each, I would spray diapal. Now diapal, the problem with diapal is you'd have to go to somebody, you wouldn't buy it in Bunnings, you'd have to go to somebody like E. Muir and Sons. But diapal is fantastic stuff. It's germ warfare that the average guy can use. You buy it in E. Muir's, you mix it up in water, you spray it on, and within seconds the caterpillars have a pain in the stomach and they stop eating. And then within hours they're dead.
Yeah.
So it's a killer stomach bug for caterpillars, and it's safe for humans, safe for pets, and it's not going to leave any poison in your garden. So diapal is a really great way. And then the problem with poisons in caterpillars is that and that's why I never used to want to rush to do my paddock, is apart from your diapal, poisons that can knock off an aphid or little tiny insects, little sucking insects and things like that, are normally not that toxic, not that terrible. But to knock off a caterpillar with poison, you've got to use like an organochlorine, which is really nasty stuff, which stays in the soil and builds up on your property and things like that. So that's to be avoided. I guess another thing you could try is in Bunnings they sell neem oil, and neem oil is horrible tasting and it stops things from eating things. So if you wanted, so here's some options. The options is 5 cents or 50 cents by today's with inflation to find a caterpillar and get rid of it. 2, diapal, or 3, neem oil. Mm-hmm. They would all be solutions without going to the really nasty stuff that kills caterpillars.
Beautiful. And since the issue seemed to be with lily pillies, then the neem would knock out the other, like the beetles as well.
Yeah, that's
beetle
right.
larvae.
And actually, the fact that they say, I've never seen a caterpillar eat lily pillies, but I have seen a beetle.
Yes, the beetle larvae.
Yeah, so there's a beetle that will, which I guess could be a caterpillar, a little bug, couldn't it? Yeah, so there's the beetle that eats them, and And the only way you'll knock, if it's the beetle that's in your lily pilly, it's the stuff I've got over there. I can't think of the name. It's
hang on, I'll have a look for it because it's a very cute.
Quadrupel, or what is it called?
It's a. Hang on, I'll have a look for it. It's a cute little green thing. It's actually a very handsome little beetle. So.
I'll just quickly grab the stuff that'll knock off that beetle.
So the beetle is actually called, the beetle that attacks your lily pillies is actually called Parapsides calypso.
Yeah, now this Congard here, Congard is one of your nasty poisons, but just spray it on the lily pillies, and I found that you only use a tiny bit of it if you use it per the instructions, a tiny bit. I use a high-powered spray so that it goes all through it, not just a watering can, but a really nice, powerful spray, and get it right through it. It'll keep them clean for about 6 or 8 weeks, even if you're really under attack.
Beautiful.
So, and what it does is that when they eat it, they die. It's what's called a systemic poison. So Congard would be for your beetle or bug eating your lily pillies.
All right. So we've got Kate King, who's on Facebook, and has said, "Hey Chris and team, as I have been told Manchurian pears are not suited as they snap in our winds, as do Bradfords. Any other ideas, as we don't have green vases on our website?"
Right. Okay. So I'm a little bit bored with ornamental pears, and the problem is that we've sold millions of them. The nursery have pumped them out, 100,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 100,000 a year, and you drive around the country and you see avenues and see them everywhere. And I've been looking for what's a great. Now, could you check it? Could you just check and see if I got it right? What I really like.
Yeah.
Is I like Japanese elm, and you can get one called a green vase, and I think the other one's called Yoshino, is that right? But there's Japanese elms that grow fastigiated, and there's hornbeams that grow fastigiated, and both of those are a fabulous alternative. They're actually, I think they're nicer, and certainly if you're bored with seeing ornamental pears everywhere, which I am, I've got a little place in Shepparton, and as I drive into Shepparton, ornamental pears here, just ornamental pears everywhere, and unfortunately they've been overdone, I think. And so, but say if you did want an ornamental pear, you'll find that it's called Chanticleer or Cleveland. Like Chanticleer is a brand name owned by Flemings, and Chanticleer is a beautifully shaped, it's sort of fat at the bottom up to a point, a beautifully shaped ornamental pear. So Chanticleer is very, very good in the wind. So is Aristocrat, and so is Capital. So Capital, Chanticleer and Aristocrat, their branches, instead of coming out horizontally, are more upright. They're in a more upright kind of shape, not as spready, and you'll find that those ones will be great in the wind. And your Bradfords and Manchurians are terrors for breaking up. Although the great application for Manchurians, I'm really enjoying them at the moment, beautiful white blossom and that, but with Manchurians, if you pleach them up into a hedge, trim them right up, you don't get that big spread of branches, and then they don't break up on you. So if you hedge your Manchurians, they're okay. But I think if you're wanting to grow pears in a windy spot, Cleveland probably number 1, Capital number 2, Aristocrat number 3. Stay away from Bradfords and Manchurians.
Beautiful. So yeah, in terms of Japanese elms, we certainly do. We do hold the Musashino.
Yeah, Musashino. I couldn't quite remember that.
Musashino and the green vase.
Yeah, and they're both beautiful, upright, tight ones, and stand up beautifully to the wind. Really tough trees. Fabulous burgundy autumn colour. Really tough. And what I love about a lot of trees, after you plant them, sort of take a year or so to settle in. Japanese elms seem to take about 15 minutes to settle in, and after you plant them, they start growing pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
So, but I think they're very tough, but they've got really pretty foliage.
I think really good for climate change. The
Yeah.
hotter and drier our climate gets, the better that the Japanese elms are actually going to perform. Excellent. And they've got beautiful glossy green leaves as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Lovely. Now we have got some more questions. So Kate says, thanks very much. Will you have Zalkova green vases back at any point?
I'm sure I could chase them up and get them for you now. What I'd like is
order
if you send in, we do what's called a P&A. If you can get a telephone or text or do something, get a price and availability in here. We could look at green vase or Yoshino. I'm sure I can do either one. Give us an idea how many you want and what size you want. I'm sure I can get them for you. They're hard to get, but we can do it.
Oh, we look for it. If we can find it,
Yeah.
you can have it. All right, beautiful. So thanks very much for that, Kate. Now we've got, so Vic Police has joined us on TikTok and is asking, where is the nursery located?
Well, we are in that industrial wasteland called Campbellfield. And you'd wonder why somebody would put a nursery there, but the great thing about Campbellfield's a kind of, it's got lots of, it's a sort of an industrial, high energy sort of a place, with, you know, lots of new Australians and a kind of great high energy place. But when you look at Campbellfield, if you live in Shepparton or Bendigo or Ballarat or Geelong, we're just off the ring road. That's why I chose this location. We're about 2 minutes off the ring road. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Eltham or you're down in Port Melbourne or you're out in Ballarat. It's most central spot in Victoria to get to. And I love the energy of Campbellfield. Although it is an industrial wasteland, it has an energy to it which no one else has.
And it's a great place and very deserving of a train station, might I say.
Really?
Actually, there was a train station that was located at the back, immediately at the back of our nursery, which in about 1956 they did away with.
Really?
And now, the community desperately wants a train station because there's a very big gap between the two stations either side of us.
Right.
And that would serve us very well because it means that people could get straight off and come in the back door. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now we've got N30.
And actually, I'll just one more thing about our location. It's a real lot of people from, say, like out the other side of town and that, when they're picking up somebody from the airport or dropping somebody at the airport, they'll pop in here. Yes. We're about 10 minutes, when the traffic's not too bad, we're 10 minutes from the Tullamarine airport. So if you think, nobody knows where Campbellfield is much, but if you know where the Tullamarine airport, we're 10 minutes out of your way going to the Tullamarine airport.
And the Sky Bus drops people off just down the road too, so
really?
That's nice and convenient.
Right, yeah. So yeah, real close to Tullamarine Airport.
All right, so we've got N33 NYB has left us a comment on TikTok, and I'm moving from the tropics to Wodonga.
Wow.
What's some new plants I can get into growing? Hotter, drier climate.
I guess moving down here from the tropics, the thing that is probably going to get you excited is like our blossoms. We've got magnolias, like the early pink magnolia. One of my favourite blossom trees, they're sort of just reaching their peak at the moment, they've been flowering for about 3 weeks, is your Prunus bleriana, sometimes called a cherry plum. Beautiful pink, it's one of the longest spring blossoms. But I'd be getting, and cherry blossoms like the Yoshino cherry. So we have lots and lots of beautiful blossoms down here in Victoria, and we've got beautiful, and the thing is that you can stage your blossoms. The very first blossom might be the Prunus bleriana, and then it goes right through, and the blossoms keep on going until you get into your crepe myrtles, which are in sort of late January, early February. You've got your crepe myrtles blossoming. So where we beat the tropics is our blossoms. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say too, Chris, potentially the more hirsute plants, the hairy plants that don't cope with the hotter, moist, the more humid climates.
Right.
Things you can't get away with up sort of, north of Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah, those sorts of things would be good. Like a lot of those sort of grevilleas that have hairier foliage and...
Yeah, so we've got lots and lots of beautiful natives, and what's interesting is that in my garden designs lately, I'm tending to mix some things like some crepe myrtles or some nice blossomy things. We did a garden design last night, and we really mixed up natives and nice colourful flowers and things like that. So you can do some lovely mixes of things that you just can't do in the tropics.
I'll tell you one thing you can't grow in the tropics that does really well around there. Aromophilus.
Right.
And they're a pretty bunch of plants.
Yeah, and they've got that sort of slightly hairy leaf, haven't they?
They do, yeah.
Yeah, so beautiful. And aromophilus give you the silver greys and yellows and mauve flowers. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so Sunil is on Instagram and has said, we have a 2 metre deep and 8 metre wide area in front of our house. We want to add lavender at the front and back Sunday Fraise hydrangea. We are worried in winter both plants would be dormant. What to do?
Lavender is a sun lover, an open air lover, and your Sunday Fraise can grow in full sun. It's a beautiful, Sunday Fraise is a beautiful hydrangea. It comes out with these amazing white flowers, and on a mature bush they look like floating balloons of flowers. They're really amazing, and they come out white, and then they turn to a soft pink, and then almost to a reddy pink in autumn. So your Sunday Fraise if you're going to grow in hot full sun, you've got to pump it with water. So it's a very different plant to the lavender. So you need to keep it away. Your lavender doesn't want to be pumped with water, so you wouldn't mix the two. You could mix, say with Sunday Fraise, you could mix some different salvias, and there's some lovely lovely blue salvias and things like that. So I'd look at some salvias to mix with the Sunday Fraise. And where that would be good is some of your salvias flower in the winter, like your Mexican sage flowers in the winter, and your Sunday Fraise can look a little bit desolate in the winter. It loses all its leaves. It looks fabulous. Basically, your Sunday Fraise starts looking fabulous in the middle of November and looks really good through till May. And so if you were to plant those with, say, a Mexican sage, you'd have foliage all year round, and you'd have flowers pretty much all year round, because they'd flower opposite sides to each other, and you wouldn't have quite that desolate look. And I think that your Mexican sage could take heaps of water, where your lavender would be distressed in the conditions that your hydrangea is going to demand.
Beautiful.
But Sunday Fraise is, if you've got a sunny spot and you really want a hydrangea, plant it in the hot sun and pump it with water, and it's the hydrangea that'll take the hot sun if it's got enough water.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, so N33NYB from Wodonga says, thanks very much for the advice.
Cool.
Okay, so Tweedledee brought a hydrangea from you the other day, and it's growing like crazy already.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
The hydrangeas, once they start moving, if I was out buying a hydrangea, I'd come out and buy it now, because what it is that in a couple of months all the hydrangeas will be brand new ones, and many of them are not going to flower this year, whereas the ones that are a year old, you've got a good chance of getting a nice big bush and beautiful flowers. Even though they don't look much now, they look a bit ordinary, but you'll get a nice big bush and nice flowers this summer.
Excellent.
Buying them now.
All right, so let me just have a look through so now somebody in the comments in relation to the caterpillar question was had recommended BT, which is that Bacillus thuringiensis. I wasn't sure if I was going to say that right, but I did. I got it in the end. Bacillus thuringiensis.
Yeah.
And that's your your tummy bacteria.
Yeah.
And the other one I'm not going to read out just because it's banned in Australia, so it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't encourage people to jump onto that one. Okay, so. All right, so Sunil said thanks, that's really helpful, thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay, so Plumeria gal. I live in California and my Plumeria has almost no leaves, some flowers. Planted it in the ground and it used to bloom, now almost nothing. What might be happening there? Because I know that Plumerias they do react that way to cold temperatures, so if I think it's still quite warm in California at the minute, so I would imagine it's not the cold.
It could be cool in the winter though.
Yeah, in the winter definitely.
What they like is that they like a hot sunny spot that is sheltered, so they're not out in cold winds and things like that. And I I get the feeling that you might have had it in a pot, and in a pot it's warmer because it's up in the air and it's not down in the soil, because California is sort of quite cold in the winter and quite hot in the summer. So I wonder if it shouldn't go back in a pot. But basically what they like, we're here in Melbourne, we're right on the edge of where you can grow them and where you can't. We only really grow the white one in Melbourne with the yellow centre. They're cut nice pink ones and that really don't do that good in Melbourne. So we grow the white ones with the yellow centre, and you've got to put them in a bit of a sun trap where there's plenty of sun and not too much cold wind. So like a nice hot sort of a spot. You need that, and you've got to find that right special spot, and they do really, really well. Then they like good drainage, plenty of water and a little bit of fertiliser, and helping flowering. In America, your fertiliser there to use is Miracle Grow, and Miracle Grow, it would be great to encourage flowers and stuff. But really, you might even consider putting it back in a nice big pot.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, and having them hard up against like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Is it because the heat reflects out at night time?
Yeah, it's sun trap. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. So Plumeria Girl. Okay, so Plumeria Girl has said it's been in the ground for 8 years. Too big for a pot now. It stands 12 feet tall.
Wow.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not doing too bad.
It sounds like it might need a bit of extra fertiliser and water.
Yeah.
And if it's growing that big, it must be in a reasonably good spot.
Yeah, for sure.
So up the fertiliser, up the water, and try a bit of Miracle Grow on it.
Excellent. All right, cool. So, how do I choose the right mulch for my garden?
That's interesting. My favourite mulch in Victoria, I not really up in other areas, but my favourite mulch in Victoria is pine bark. And the reason why I like pine bark is it decomposes very, very slowly. And I've dug up, like I've been gardening since I was a little kid, and I've dug up places where pine bark has been down for years, and the soil is always absolutely fabulous. So pine bark, and pine bark here in Victoria, we use it it's the number one ingredient going into potting mixes. So plants grow beautifully in pine bark. And then you've got other mulches like your black wood and your red wood, and I actually think they're actually bad for the soil and bad for the garden. And then apart from that, you've got your lucens, and I think your lucen's probably not a bad mulch, but it could be a little bit expensive to do a large area. Pine bark's fairly reasonably priced, and I like the look of it, and it's easy to spread and easy to work with. I remember the first time I did pine bark myself, I rang around, I bought the cheapest, I did a big area with pine bark, and I rang around, bought the cheapest pine bark on the market, and I had a nasty shock when it came in. It had giant pine cones, bits of wood in it, it had chunks this big, and it was really hard to spread and do anything with. So I learned that what you need some crushed pine bark. You know, you don't want like dust, but you need it kind of like a medium size, and that really is my favourite. And I mean, your sugar cane and your lucerne mulch are all fine, particularly good for the veggie garden and that, but overall my favourite's pine bark, and I really don't like your broken timber mulches.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% of the way on that one, Chris. I mean, most of the time they're just old fence palings that have been chipped up and died.
Yeah.
And yeah,
they don't seem to help, they don't decompose well, and they don't seem to help the garden. And in particular, a lot of people selling their place use that red one, and I reckon it looks like it makes me think of radioactive waste.
Yeah.
And it's like they've decorated their garden with radioactive waste. I hate it, you know. And I don't think that any garden has ever been improved by that horrible red wood.
Amen to that. Now, Plumeria Gal said, thank you very much for your answer.
Right.
We've got another question that's come in. What's the difference between direct sowing and transplanting seedlings?
Right, okay, so that's a dilemma that lots of people have. But what happens is, say in your veggie garden, there's a bit of weed seed and a few bugs that can eat and things like that. When you direct sow, there's a higher probability of it being eaten by an insect or overcome by weeds or something like that. But if you buy some nice sterile seed raising mix and you get a tray and you germinate in that tray, you can separate it from the bugs and separate it from the weeds, and then you can break up those little seedlings and plant them out when they get a little bit bigger. Also, you can get greater. The reason why most market gardeners do not, most vegetables like carrots they might direct sow, but most other vegetables would be planted as a seedling. And what that is, you end up using less water, less fertilizer, and less time to grow your vegetable in the ground, because growing it in the ground takes more effort than growing it in a tray. So what they do is that I remember I went to a celery farm in California one time, and they were growing, this was a few years back, but they were growing like 30 million celery a year, and they had a large nursery just for producing 30 million celery seedlings, and then they had machinery to plant it out. And what they do is that they'd clear one celery crop, and then the next day or two later they'd plant the next celery crop, and that celery crop would already be 10 or 12 weeks on the way from seed, so they would save time and have less competition from weeds and bugs and things like that. So basically some things like onions and carrots. What else would you want to only direct? So radishes, Swedes.
Oh yeah, so radishes for sure.
Yeah, radishes, Swedes.
Like parsnips, anything that's got a taproot that you rely on. So like your carrots.
Yeah.
You really don't want to buy those in punnets, because when you're separating them out from the punnets, you're really destroying the root system.
Even beetroot sold a lot in punnets, but I think beetroot is a good one to direct sow.
Yeah.
And then the ones that are really good to buy as a seedling or grow yourself as a seedling and then transplant out are things like tomatoes, spinach, broccoli, cabbage, all of those ones there. You're gonna make headway and produce your vegetables with less effort by growing. And actually I saw a wonderful thing in Coles at the moment. They've got seed for sale, they've got a bit of seed raising mix, and they've got these beautiful little seed trays, and a person could go into, and it's all on special. I shouldn't be doing ads for Coles, but here we are. And, but I reckon it was I was thinking, gee, I'd like that in my nursery. So it was really nice lot of seed packed with seed trays, seed raising mix, and a person could get in there now and get all their seedlings going on the cheap, and have lots and lots of seedlings for spring. I thought it was a great little retail effort.
Your lettuces are a really good one for growing into trays and transplanting out, because it means that they don't get picked out by the birds.
Yeah, I'm a bit busy to run my own veggie garden at the moment, but when I was running my own veggie garden, I would do things like I would put my tomatoes out, and tomatoes are fairly slow, and in between would go a lettuce, and I'd get to eat that lettuce before the tomatoes got going, you know? And so I love interplanting fast and slow vegetables.
All right, so Chris, another question. How often should I sharpen my garden tools?
Interesting question.
It's a good question.
I reckon what I used to do, I used to hoe acres of land, and what I would do is when I was too tired, sometimes I'd spend 10 or 12 hours a day just hoeing land with a little chop hoe. And what I would do is I would carry a piece of wood in my pocket that would scrape it clean without scratching the metal, and I would keep it clean. And then when I got really, really tired, I'd sit down and sharpen it. And I'd do it a couple of times a day if I was using it all day. So I'd imagine that after 3 or 4 hours of digging, most things could use a little sharpen. And it's great when you're working hard to have a little spell and spend that spell sharpening up.
I reckon rainy days before the spring season really kicks off are a great time to go through all of your tools, give them a good service, give them a little bit of a sand back, linseed oil the handles, sharpen everything up, make sure you're ready for that big boom of spring growth. Yeah,
that'd be a great idea. But I imagine after 3 or 4 hours, say with a hoe or a spade or a shovel, I reckon it could really use a sharpen.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with people going out and using it for half an hour at a time, they probably go 2 years, and it's as blunt as anything. They don't notice anymore. And when you get a nice sharp spade, it's amazing how much better it works.
Indeed. And good tools. Always get good tools that, pick them up from your, op shops and things, if you see them, really nice antique tools, because those things are built to last.
Yeah, that's right. They don't make them like they used to, do they?
Okay, so another question that's come in, what's the best way to water your plants while you're on holidays?
Right, I've got a few little tricks there. One of mine would be like you get your kids to water them or your friend to water them or something like that, and then imagine that they're not going to do it properly. So I do things like putting a saucer of water under them so that the water doesn't go away quickly. Then you might put them in a spot where they'll only get morning sun and no afternoon sun, because the hot afternoon sun is when they're going to use the most water. And then I'd water them really, really well. And you could even do something, you could be tricky. What you do is you get someone to water them, but then you kind of imagine that they're not really going to water them. And you could put soil wetter. Soil wetter is amazing. It makes water go in, it makes it circulate around, it makes it stay there. So if you, say you had some plants that you really treasured, you get someone to water them, imagine that they're not going to water them as well as you do. And then what you do, you put them in a saucer of water, put them out of the hot afternoon sun, put some soil wetter on them and water them real well before you go.
Beautiful.
And I think if you were to do all of those things, you could overcome the lack of care that might occur while you're away.
Excellent advice.
I remember when when I was a young kid, and even though I worked as a gardener and things like that, my parents would leave me in charge of things. And like my mum had a little bonsai collection. Every time she went away, one of them would pass away, which was kind of sad because they were 10 and 15 years old. And but anyway, that's how kids are.
So other questions that have come in. So how do I recognise the difference between beneficial insects and pests?
That's an interesting question. Just an interesting thing is maybe they're all beneficial.
Yeah.
And anyway, years ago, my partner read something in a book. I never read it myself, but my partner read something in a book that if you leave, say you grow some cabbages, right? And at the end of it, there's like two malformed, terrible, you've eaten all the cabbages, and there's two malformed, terrible, crippled-looking cabbages there. This book said, leave them there. And then what happens, all the bugs converge and they live on those cabbages, and you see them, they've got holes in them and things crawling over them, and it's quite disgusting. And then you plant your new cabbages there, and the bugs seem to leave it alone. And so having the idea of good and bad, it's all ecology. And I think that that idea really revolutionised our veggie patch. Our veggie patch looked a little weird and unkept, but it worked better than ever before. And so I think that that's a real thing. And so maybe we shouldn't be looking so much at beneficial and non-beneficial, and the problem is, like, say for instance, if you're using sprays and you could wipe out your ladybugs, which are great at eating the little insects, and so I guess the trick is to try and minimise your use of sprays and do things like having old vegetables sitting there seething with bugs to kind of protect them.
Absolutely. And I think what you were saying is absolutely right. Maybe not focus on the beneficial and non-beneficial, focus on diversity, because the more diversity you have in terms of the flowers that they'll feed on, and all the vegetables where they can hide and habitat, that will actually bring in other predators and
say for instance, say you decide aphids are no good, and say you could wipe out all your aphids without wiping out your ladybugs, and then what would happen to ladybugs if there was no aphids?
Oh, they'd starve.
And then they'd die.
Go to somebody else's garden where they can find aphids.
Yeah, but so they would die or leave, right?
Yes.
And then aphids are able to breed in 48 hours, so they're back in next week. The aphids are back, and you've destroyed. So if you could wipe out all your aphids in one day, you could then within a week have wiped out your ladybugs, and then the aphids could reinfest uninhibited. So that's what I meant by kind of, and that's what you're meaning too, by kind of working with it and not thinking about good and bad. It's a whole ecology.
Absolutely. And Chris, the one thing I would never want to be reborn as is an insect, because that world is terrifying.
Right.
Okay, so Mykonos 59, we have 2 cats and built a small courtyard for them so they could enjoy fresh air and sunshine. What type of plants can they put in there for the benefit of their cats?
Well, the plant that cats love the most is catnip.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they go berserk. And no, that cats will come from all over the place to enjoy your catnip. So the first thing you plant is some catnip.
And a little patch of cat grass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so some cat grass, some catnip. What else could you plant? But they'll roll and they go crazy in catnip.
Yeah, and I think your cat mints as well. Cats
Yeah.
tend to like those as well.
So cat mint, catnip, and cat grass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, so where are we at now? What are the advantages, and I know that this will be a question that's close to your heart, what are the advantages of drip irrigation compared to hand watering? Or disadvantages?
Okay, so let's look at hand watering. Basically, in Melbourne, there's a problem with hand watering, and that is that people have been encouraged to use little skinny hoses and funny little orange or red or yellow brightly coloured guns. And if you get one of those little skinny hoses and one of those guns and you put it in a bucket, you'll find that it takes well over a minute to put 10 litres into a bucket. It might take a minute and 20, a minute and 30, something like that, to put that into a bucket. Now, and people go out and they water for 5 or 10 minutes and they've only put out 5 or 10 buckets of water. And so, and it's given hand watering a bad name, and people feel that now here in the nursery, we hand water our nursery. We don't have a sprinkler system, and we use a 3/4 inch hose, and we use a special rosette that we make available to the public, but we use a special rosette, and going on the normal tap that people use, it takes, this is it here, this is the rosette, we bring this in from America, this is a 50 or 60 year old design, and this can move massive amounts of water out silently, and it falls just like beautiful soft rain. Absolutely fabulous watering thing. Now if you connect this to a 3/4 inch hose, you should be able to fill that bucket that would take a minute and 20 seconds, you should be able to fill that bucket in 20 to 25 seconds. So if you went out and watered for 10 minutes with this, you would put out, just with the same tap and the same fittings, you would put out in 10 minutes, you would put out 5 times as much water as you would in 10 minutes with the normal thing. And so this with a 3/4 inch hose is a very, very effective watering system. Now, the other thing with watering, what I've found is when plants are really dry, the way to water them is to water them once, then go off and have a cold drink, a cup of tea or something, and then come back in half an hour and water them again. And the second time, you'll find that if you're watering pots, you'll find those pots become really heavy on that second watering.
Yeah.
So that's your hand watering. Now, the great thing about hand watering is communication. If you hand water your garden, you go, oh, look, that's not looking as good as it, look, what's happened to that? or, gee, that's taken off since I put that fertilizer on it. So, and I think that communicating, like your garden is a living thing, you're a living thing, and it's a chance to communicate you as a living thing with your living garden. And I think that communication with your plants is vital for you to enjoy your garden, and vital for the plants to grow and thrive and things like that. And all the people I've known that have been great gardeners, like when I was a kid, I worked for 10 years every Saturday morning for a lady for 10 years, and she really communicated with the garden and communicated with the plants. So hand watering puts you in communication with your garden. So that's, but on the other hand, I often, when I'm doing garden designs, what I do is I talk to people about their lifestyle. And you've got people that go off and they have holiday houses and they disappear for 2 weeks and things like that, and you still need a watering system. If you're the sort of person who's not, like I try and find out, a lot of older people are always home and they're always potting around their garden, and a hand watering system is the answer for them. And but if you're, a young professional and you're off wherever for a week or two at a time, particularly in summer, you need a good, reliable watering system. And when it comes to watering systems, I like spray irrigation, because spray irrigation, what I love about in Melbourne, you've got 3 or 4 months, 5 months maybe, where you don't need to water. So you turn off all your watering system, and then you go out there and you turn it on, and bugs have got into it and things have happened. Somebody's broken a bit of it. Now with spray irrigation, within seconds you can see what the situation is, know what you've got to fix it, and be back in business. But with drip irrigation, you'd have to crawl all over the garden. Most people would never do that. So it'll be sometime when it's hot in summer and dry, a couple of plants dying, oh, that bit's broken. So that's why, although drip irrigation is more efficient use of water, it's a less efficient use of time. So my favourite things are hand watering and spray irrigation, and maybe for most people it could be a combo of both, where you have that hand watering ability and you have your spray irrigation as well.
Very well answered. All right, Chris, so I think that's pretty much wraps it up for today's questions. But I just want to remind people that every Friday we have a Growers Direct flash sale. But this week's a special week for us. It's going to be Thursday, that's right. So Growers Direct flash sale, 12 noon on Thursday, this coming Thursday. Do you got any hot goss about what might be coming up in the sale this week?
Well, we had some fabulous plants. We had some fabulous plants last week. Lots and lots of, we started to get really nice spring stock in. So we had some fabulous, beautiful spring stock coming in this week, and there'll be more of it again. So it's going to be exciting. The other thing is that very much an emphasis on bare rooted. Like people are going mad for bare rooted box at the moment because you can do an instant box hedge, and bare root. So we're really focusing on bare root because bare root is going to be pretty much over by the 30th of September. So it's in September now. We're on is it September yet? 31st?
Today is the first day of September. It's the
September.
first day of spring.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, emphasis will be on bare root, and this will be your last year. And there's some amazing deals. I was helping somebody with an avenue the other day, and I was able to provide them with 6-foot golden maples for $20.
Yes.
Now, in summer, those same ones would be over $100, and that's what's great about the bare rooted season. So we're getting towards the end of the bare rooted season, so I'll be focused on that, and then I'll be delivering some exciting new things because it's spring and there's all new stock coming in. So basically, it's going to be one of our best Grower Direct flash sales. 12 o'clock on Thursday, Grower Direct flash sale. Starts at 12 o'clock on your favourite platform and goes for about 2 hours. And what happens is I don't just put up a special. I'll put up the special and I'll explain it so you can understand what the application of that special is. So Grower Direct flash sale, and then next Monday will be your next chance for a Q&A, question and answer.
Now, Chris, just before we leave, JD for All says hi. So we say hello, hello.
Hello, hello, JD.
And JD for All is planning to come by on Saturday. Can I get the flash sale offers on Saturday? Absolutely.
Of course. What happens? The ones that we've got now. Now, if you want to check it out, you can go to our website and look at the flash sale there. That flash sale's up till sold out, or until Thursday lunchtime. Then on Thursday lunchtime, we put up a new set of offers, and they will run for the next week.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you so much for your questions. We really enjoy interacting with you in this way, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday or on Thursday.
Cool. Thank you.